6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayathunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Kalia Rambukwala remanded. Sri Lanka and Thailand signed historic free trade agreement. The 76th Independence Day celebrations will be conducted at the Golf Green, Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Aluthratak. Over 700 prisoners to receive presidential pardon on the 76th Independence Day. A special traffic and security program will be implemented in line with the Independence Day celebrations. In news overseas, Iraq says civilians among the 16 killed in the U.S. strikes. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. Former Health Minister Kalia Rambukwala has been remanded until the 15th of this month on the orders of the Maligakanda Magistrate Court. The current Environment Minister was produced before the court this morning. The Criminal Investigations Department arrested the lawmaker yesterday in connection with the procurement of substandard human intravenous hemoglobin HVIG. He had made an appearance before the CID last morning, complying with a court order issued yesterday, and was grilled for nearly 10 hours before being arrested. Prime Minister of Thailand, Srettha Thavisin, arrived in Sri Lanka this afternoon on an official visit. Accompanied by a high-level Thai delegation, Prime Minister Thavisin was welcomed at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake by his Sri Lankan counterpart, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The Thai Prime Minister will undertake a 2-day official visit in Sri Lanka from today on the invitation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is also scheduled to grace the national ceremony to mark the 76th anniversary of the independence of Sri Lanka as the guest of honor. The historic Sri Lanka-Thailand Free Trade Agreement has been signed at the Presidential Secretariat in the presence of Prime Minister of Thailand, Srettha Thavisin, and President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The FTA is expected to bolster trade and investment ties between the two nations and also to promote deeper integration with the Asian economies. The 76th Independence Day celebrations will be conducted at Golf Green in Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Aluthratak. The ceremony will be broadcast live through the Sinhala National Service, Vela Savior, City FM, all Tamil services and the English service from the SLBC. It will begin at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. The Buddhist religious ceremony relevant to the national ceremony will be held at the Kollipitiya Polvata Dhammakirtiya Ramaya Viharaya tomorrow morning. The Hindu religious rites will be held at the Vajrapillayar Kovil in Colombo 4. The Catholic service will be conducted at the All Saints Church in Colombo. Several religious ceremonies will be held tomorrow in many places. Over 700 inmates detained at prisons across the island will be released tomorrow in view of the 76th Independence Day of Sri Lanka, the Prisons Department said. Accordingly, a total of 754 prisoners, including 25 female inmates, are slated to receive a special presidential pardon. The Commissioner General of Excise has ordered to close all liquor shops in the island due to the Independence Day. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. Police media spokesman Nihal Talduwa says that the special traffic and security program will be implemented in line with the Independence Day celebrations, which falls tomorrow. A special vehicular traffic plan will be implemented in the surrounding areas of Golface. Drivers who drive in the Colombo area are requested to pay attention in this regard. There is no restriction for the tourists who are staying in hotels near the Golface Green to travel around. Minister of Fisheries Douglas Devananda says that measures will be taken to provide fuel concession for the fisher communities and to reduce the price of fishing gears and also stop the import of fish from overseas. He said that the President has given advice in this regard. The minister made these remarks at a meeting with the fishermen in Ningabo. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Kalia Rambukwala remanded. Sri Lanka and Thailand signed historic free trade agreement. The 76th Independence Day celebrations will be conducted at the Golf Green, Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Aluthratak. Over 700 prisoners will receive presidential pardon on the 76th Independence Day. A special traffic and security program will be implemented in line with the Independence Day celebrations. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, the Ministry of Education has notified that the second phase of the third school term for the year 2023 will begin on Monday and it will end on the 16th of this month. After that, the school term of the year 2024 will commence. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, all trade stalls surrounding the schools in the newer area city limits may be inspected before the commencement of the new school term. This program is being implemented in line with the Yuktiya operation. The objective of this move is to safeguard the school children from the drug menace. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. Iraq says civilians among the 16 killed in US strikes. Paris knife attack, 3 wounded, and Garde Lyon stayed. Northern Ireland government is set to return after 2 years gap. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. The Iraqi government says at least 16 people, including civilians, have been killed and 25 others wounded in the country as a result of the strikes carried out by the US military overnight. A spokesman described the attacks, which targeted Iranian-backed militias and interests, as a new aggression against Iraq's sovereignty, saying that they put Iraq and the region on the brink of abyss. Syria's foreign ministry has condemned overnight US strikes on targets in Iraq and Syria. In a statement shared by Sana news agency, it says the US attacks have proved once again that its military forces threaten international peace and security and ignites conflicts in the region. 3 people have been wounded in a knife attack in a major train station in Paris, the French police say. One suspect was arrested following the incident at Gare de Lyon in morning. The motive is unknown and none of the victims sustained life-threatening injuries. There have been several knife attacks in public places in Paris in the recent past. In December, 3 tourists were stabbed and one of them to death near the Eiffel Tower. In January last year, 6 people were injured after a stabbing at the capital's Gare du Nord. Northern Ireland's devolved government is set to be restored 2 years to the day since it collapsed. A meeting of the Legislative Assembly at the Starmount in Belfast will be held today to revive the power-sharing institutions. For the first time, the role of the First Minister in the executive will be held by an Irish nationalist. Stubborn recalls follows the Democratic Unionist Party's ending its boycott over Brexit trade rules. And that was the world news. And now we move on to development news. The government has made attention to renovate Pattipolama, however, in the Natholpitiya through the Department of Irrigation. More than 30 million rupees will be spent. Water supply will be provided to 500 acres of paddy lands. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Moving on with sports news.
The 36th match of the Super Round of the Under-19 World Championship Cricket Tournament is underway between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Batting first, the Pakistani team was all out for 155 runs at the end of the 40th overs. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekakiyana youth ticket life ke change kat niyamata setna aswagena dagpuhina habakarana youth ticket niyamata setna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A special program may be implemented to develop the agricultural sector in the country during the next 4 years. The program will be initiated by the Ministry of Agriculture. 3.8 billion rupees has been allocated under the aid of the World Bank. 1.5 billion rupees will be spent for the development of the livestock sector. That is the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakiyana youth ticket life ke change kat niyamata setna aswagena dagpuhina habakarana youth ticket niyamata and a friendship better.
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, development and welfare activities will be expedited by the District Coordinating Committee for next year. The relevant program is to be completed by the 31st of July. That is the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. Showers will occur at times in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Polonnaruwa and Matale districts. Several spells of showers may occur in the Anuradhapura and Hambantota districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Galle and Matara districts after 2 p.m. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts during the morning hours. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. Kelly Rabukwal remanded. Sri Lanka and Thailand signed historic free trade agreement. The 76th Independence Day celebrations will be conducted at the Golf-Face Green Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Alutratak. Over 700 prisoners to receive presidential pardon on the 76th Independence Day. A special traffic and security program will be implemented in line with the Independence Day celebrations. In news overseas, Iraq says civilians among the 16 killed in the US strikes. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to Chandima, who has returned after a break, to take you down with all the music until the curtains come down.